What's up, millionaires? It's your boy Millionaire E coming at you with a TV show review. The TV show we're going to be talking about is Flash, episode 16, season 7. Now, before we get started, spoiler alert for anyone who's not seen the episode. I don't want to spoil it for you. You got to watch it yourself. And also, before we get started, this is my opinion, and it's not that I'm trying to, bash the show and find stuff bad with the show. It's like, because I've been a fan of the show from the very get go. And now I'm just like, it's just not working. I'm going to tell you why. So, after watching this episode basically concludes with what I said. And what I had said is basically where you put nonsense into an episode and it doesn't make any sense. So in this episode, we get a whole bunch of plots like thrown at us. So the first thing, it's talking about the last episode where Flash kind of saw Nora in his dream. And she's like, oh man, there's trouble. And Flash, he's kind of thinking about that. So while he's thinking about this, you've got the Godspeeds who are running around just bam, 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 pew, 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 running around just crazy. And what they find out is they're looking, well, it's not that they're looking for somebody, but they're just running around just checking people. And Diggle comes in, John Diggle from Arrow and a couple other shows, but Arrow. And he comes in, he has like this thing called the speed trap that Cisco created. And basically what happens is whatever goes into it, everything, it stops. It's like a speed trap. So it'll stop it in time and basically you can trap them. So they're like, you know what? Let's get one of these Godspeeds and trap him. So yeah, they trap this dude. And they're having this conversation with this guy, and the guy's like, oh yes, I am a clone created by August Hart. I'm trying to find August Hart, and I'm trying to kill August Hart. So basically what we understand is now that there are six that was trying to take the speed from Flash. And then six more are like, we want to be free. So they're that's why they're running around checking out people, almost about to beat the crud out of people. They're trying to find this August Hart. So I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm kind of confused how that works is, because usually when you create clones, they have one objective. But I'm like, you got one objective where they were trying to take your speed, then another objective where it's like they're finding their master to kill him, to be free. So that's confusing. But ladies and gents, that's not the only thing that happens in this episode. No, that's not. So we also have where Joe and Craner supposedly died in that last part of the episode. So, they're running and they're being hunted by this guy named Adam, which is Craner's half brother. So, he's got his rifle and he's just like, pew, 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 shooting. And they conduct a way to trap him, basically. And what happens, it's so confusing for me, is because I'm like, it just literally went over this part. So Kramer, she's like, why did you do this? Why did you kill my squad? And he's like, I get paid to kill. Because he was like, I was living in the slumps, but I'm immortal. So why should I be living in the slumps when I'm immortal? I can do what I want. So he's like, I get paid to kill. I kill. And then also he says this thing that I'm kind of like, okay, y'all gonna go over that? That's like a big thing. But he's like, the Christian Kramer I knew is dead. And I'm like, then who is this Kramer right here? Are you a clone? I'm like, is she a mirror remnant? Because I'm like, she's acted aggressively towards mutants in the first part when we see her, and I'm like, I'm sure Ava, Mirror Lady, she was on good standards, like good quotes when she went back into Mirror World. So I'm a little bit confused about that. But is that the end? No, that's not the end. We've got more plots to solve and more plot holes. So then we get to the part where we've got Allegra and Esperanza. And Esperanza, she's got her voice, and she's like, I'm gonna go take out the rest of black hole people. So they won't torture anybody else. So Allegra's like, well, hold on, don't go alone. You can't go alone. You're gonna get killed. She's like, Esperanza's like, that's why you come with me. And Allegra's like, but the Godspeeds are running around super crazy and stuff. So Esperanza goes. So while this is happening, we basically have Flash. He's panicking. His wife, his wife is kind of sick. Then he finds out that she's basically the timeline is disrupting her. And Dion puts her in a kind of stasis where she can't be like broken up into the timeline. Then we've got, and this is where Flash he wants to see if Nora's okay. So he tries to run back to 249, which I was like, bro, first of all, and because Diggle was like, man, you got to check your family first. You could screw the whole world just to look at your family. I'm like, Diggle, first of all, he can run back into time, run to the future. If this man has slightly pick up a piece of toilet paper off of the ground, and I know that sounds random, but I'm like, does that and just gets up and then goes back into the past, it's gonna change the past. And I'm like, I know there are rules that you cannot warn people in the future about the past. So I'm like, you basically just told Flash to just be like, bleep the city. And the reason why Flash wasn't gonna go is because Godspeeds were running around just doing stuff. And he's like, well, if they come on there, I won't be able to fight them. So that's where, he runs and he meets Dion and his wife, and the whole thing with Iris is going, bzz. Yeah, that's confusing for me. So then we go to this other part where we see Esperanza. Again, Allegra decides, I'm going to go help Esperanza. She gets to the black hole facility. Everybody is dead. And especially Esperanza is dead. And from what it looked like, she has a wound in her stomach. So then what happens is she's like, I fought alone, I die alone. And then she dies, and it did this thing that looks like, when Thanos in Endgame, or it was Infinity War, snapped his fingers and everybody got dusted, or half the people got dusted. That's what it looked like, because Esperanza basically turned into dust. And I'm like, who did you fight who could do that? Everybody's dead on the ground, and you're injured. Well, not injured, but dead. Who killed you? Where is that person? These are questions answered. And like I said, they still are looking, the Godspeeds are looking for August Hart. And finally, Cecile and Diggle, and also may I remind you, Diggle, he's dealing with like major headaches. And I'll tell you a little bit after I tell you about this August thing. So, they're looking for August and they find this guy, and this guy's like, I'm somehow connected to this building that they found that August would be in. So they bring him back and they're like, okay, let's give him this remembering serum because he's lost his memory. He's like, I'm August Hart, the one that the Godspeeds are looking for, and they're willing to kill this man. We don't know why. I guess they just want to be free. Who knows? But yeah, as I said, Diggle, he's having a headache, and it's to be assumed for me, I assume that it's from the whole Green Lantern thing. Because he's talking to Flash and he's going to go back to his home and kind of get things in check. And we see this scene where he opens up like this box and it's this green light. And we're like, I'm like, that's the Green Lantern ring right there. Taking responsibilities and all that. So, after that, you may think this episode is over, but no. So they got August Hart. The last part of the episode, Nora comes, and not Nora like Nora, his Speed Force daughter. No, Nora, his actual daughter comes. She's like, hey, what's up? And he's like, I thought you were in trouble. She's like, no, I'm not in trouble. We're both okay. And then that's where we get to see Impulse. And I'm sitting here like, how the heck did y'all go to the past when literally there's Godspeeds in the time-space continuum? So I'm like, for me, almost, I was like, it's just a whole bunch of nonsense plots thrown into here, and it's just like, y'all gotta explain it. Like, where this has to go here. You can't just put multiple things into the episode and expect us to understand it. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to badmouth Flash. As I said, I'm a fan of the show. It's just, like before I was like, man, I love to see Flash. Now it's just, okay, I don't understand why that's happening. It's not explained. I don't understand why this is happening. How did that character end up getting there? Nothing is explained. And then in the promo, which is really confusing for me, is we see Impulse, Nora, and Impulse is Bart Allen, but we see the flashes. And then we also get the special guest, which is Jay. And Jay is the basically Helmet Head Flash. The reason why I call him Helmet Head is because a couple of friends, my friends called him Helmet Head as well. But it's like, because he's the one that has like the helm. It's got like this weird hat and then it's got the wings on the top. He comes back. And what brings my confusion is in the crossover, in the last crossover, where everything was kind of different worlds and the antimatter was trying to do a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to get a lot into it, but all I will say is that Flash died. He died running backwards, disintegrated. So I'm like, y'all best explain this, or please explain to me what's happening in this next episode. So y'all, I don't know about Flash now. I'm honestly, I'm feeling weird about it. But remember, like the video, share it with your fam, subscribe, and if you subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified for more videos. And I will see y'all later, millionaires, and have a blessed day. And also, on an off note, I'm actually watching Bad Batch, which is a really, really cool show. But on that note, bye y'all. Have a good day and have a blessed day. I'll see y'all later, millionaires.